What's going on, guys? We are live, and we have headphones on.
And they're supposed to be on. I guess it is a little weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. We've never done this before. We have an interview for you today with Aaron.
AD Keto on Instagram and on YouTube.
And if you guys are unfamiliar, this is him.
Oh, hey.
Oh, no, not you yet. He's also on the line. But
we're going to show you his YouTube channel
we're
first.
showing you his YouTube channel first. So this is his YouTube channel. He's big on product reviews.
Yeah, which you guys love.
A lot of ice creams. A lot of Keto Crate unboxings.
And his wife is also involved with everything, and she's a hoot.
And he's been on our podcast multiple times. Mm-hmm. And, oh, guys, let us know how the audio is, if everything is sounding right, because this takes a lot of technical know-how. Oops, you guys are seeing that. Okay. This takes a lot of technical know-how to get right. And if you guys are new, also, Aaron has a course.
Yay!
On The Curve, which is a membership site that we have. It's new. It started at the start of the year, so it's been running for about 3 months now. And
jointhecurve.com.
Yep, it is at jointhecurve.com, and this is a couple of the courses we have. We got 9 of them. Couple more coming soon. We also have a bunch of resources, printable meal plans, tons of stuff like that. But Aaron's course is just kind of like an intro to keto for a normie, because you know our podcast is called Keto for Normies.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're less of normies now. Aaron's more of a normie.
No, I would say I'm more of a normie than Aaron. Like, he does the taste test, but he's like carnivore now.
I think Aaron's more of a normie.
And he runs.
That's true.
He's definitely not as sedentary as I am.
And so this is his course here. Comes with some printable worksheets and stuff.
All right, guys, so this video is going to be about when I started keto, some of the specifics that helped me get started. Honestly, when I started, it wasn't a lifestyle change. It was like, here's another diet that can help me lose weight. Looks like it works fast. I'm going to try this. And
the old lose weight fast trap.
I mean, we're all there all the time.
Should we bring him on?
Yeah, let's bring him on. And are we going to answer questions too? Like, what's this live situation? This is our first time doing one.
Yeah, live situation is if you guys do super chats and stuff, we'll definitely answer the questions. But still, if you just type questions in chat, we'll probably get to a lot of them.
I'll keep an eye on those. So if you have any good questions you want to interject with while we're chatting, feel free.
And there he is. What's going on, Aaron?
Now is the time where I say hi.
Yeah.
What's so funny is you were like, you know what, for the first 5 minutes, we're just going to show your YouTube page, talk a little bit about you. And I was like, that was a quick 5 minutes. Should I say something now?
Yeah.
But hello. Good to see you guys.
Hi.
How's it going? So, third interview we've done with Aaron.
Yeah.
Actually, fourth, because we did one on your channel, too.
First live, though.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
It's a whole new ball game.
I tell you, live is very nerve-wracking. We did... Sarah and I did a live just last weekend, and I changed things up. Normally, we do like the very standard click the go live button on YouTube. But this past one, we used OBS. I don't know if you're familiar with OBS.
That's what we're using here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong.
Yeah. Very powerful, though, once you get the hang of it.
I loved it. We had a couple of like audio issues, but for the most part, I really dug it. Like it kind of sharpened up my technical director skills that have been very rusty.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, you can probably tell by his YouTube videos, he's a video editor. Is that your job title, video editor?
Yeah, that is my job title, video editor.
Yeah, so really good quality.
Better than us.
Yeah, I'm just some random guy off the street
that
started editing videos.
Well, now you're sneaking in like a compliment to yourself.
Yeah. No, I'm here for it. You can keep
humble brag. Wasn't it awesome when humble brags first were identified as a thing like 15 years ago and everyone started calling them out? Because before
humble brag is a term coined, I think, by Harris Whittles. You guys know who Harris Whittles is?
No.
He was like a writer on Parks and Rec. He's this funny dude, and he like died, like he overdosed or something. And I think he wrote a book called Humble Brag, which is I think the beginning of it. I could be mistaken, but
how long ago was that?
I don't know, like 10, 11, 12 years maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like before that, humble brag wasn't even a term that we acknowledged or like even a thing really.
Right.
I guess it probably was. We just didn't have a name for it.
Yeah.
How are you guys? How's things down in Georgia?
They're okay.
Yeah, people keep asking, and I don't know. I guess because we're also not leaving the house, I don't really know how hectic and bad it is out there, and we're not in like Atlanta proper. We're in a nice suburb, so it doesn't feel as bad as it seems, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we I think I saw a statistic the other day that New York State, where I am, accounts for something like 43% of all confirmed cases.
Matt keeps talking about that.
So okay, I've done a little digging on this. So New York has the most cases because they've done the most tests.
Testing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I
so
see.
in Georgia, we were doing 50 tests a day until like a week ago.
You might as well do 0 tests a day. Like what? I don't even.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem.
So here's what I think is maybe a better way to look at it is deaths. Deaths are a more objective measure as opposed to confirmed cases.
So New York still has the most deaths.
Yeah, New York definitely has like the biggest problem.
And are they all like old people? Can we like separate out like age?
We can. It's not exclusively older people, but it's majority. Old people.
Yeah.
Older people. And when I say old people, it's not disparaging. I'm just that they're old up in there in age.
Well,
right? You guys have called me an old person before, so I take it with a grain of salt. We had to change our boys who just turned 18. We had planned a family party for them this past weekend, and it ended up being completely done via Zoom. And it was we sang happy birthday to them, and it was the most ridiculous thing you'd ever heard. Like everyone's internet lag was different. It was cacophony. It was so bad.
That's funny.
But yeah, we kept them, everyone, the grandparents actually came to our house and dropped gifts off near the front porch and then drove away.
Oh, yeah. When they're like old and not old, when they have their kids, they'll be like, kids, when I was 18, we had to stay in the house. You guys get to celebrate by partying. So.
It's crazy. We keep telling them they're living through a moment in history. Because
that's what I was wondering, like, how big of a moment in history is this really?
Well, no, Aaron, you were saying they're graduating. Is their graduation canceled?
Who knows? We haven't heard a thing. Like,
Probably.
I assume. And I mean, their graduation ceremony, honestly, is something Sarah's been thinking about since they were born. Like, seeing them walk across the stage one after another, and who knows if that's going to happen now? It's insane. So we don't know. Everyone, we're just doing the best we can, staying hunkered down here, and taking it day by day.
Okay, so let's get to some keto stuff. That's what I don't even know if that's what the people want to hear about, because pretty much everything is just about the thing that's going on right now.
Well, someone, I think Lily had a comment real quick, and I guess we could just jump off there. Where is it? She said, "Being at home makes me feel like I want to eat." So you're working from home, I'm assuming, Aaron, and so is Sarah. The kids are home. What's the food situation? Like snacks, meals, just going hard?
It's been very tricky. We both feel really lucky that we're able to continue working at home. We've put the Thanksgiving leaves in the kitchen table to extend it to its maximum capacity because we have a small house. And the kitchen table is pretty much the only place we can be to work. But meals have been okay. I have stayed pretty strict with what I've done. We try to come up with a meal plan every week. And it's just been the same as it has been recently. The temptation to sort of hit the fridge when you're bored is definitely there. It's much easier to stay on track when you're not in the house for work during the day. But being home like this, it's like, let's see what we got in the fridge. That pull is kind of there. And
I think the hard part about that pull is that, like, if Sarah's at the fridge, then you're just like, well, why don't I go stand with her? Like we like egg each other on with the snacks.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I try not to enable her, and I think she does the same for me. Yeah. But it is tough. And the kids are sort of like, they're just having bowl after bowl of cereal. They don't really.
Living it up.
I keep looking over to the left because that's where Aaron is. So but the camera's here.
Yeah.
So you definitely now, at this point, you've been doing how long the YouTube channel and keto in general? Like a couple of years, right?
Keto is over 3 years. January 2017 is when I started keto. The YouTube channel, I think, started in July of 2017. So coming up on 3 years. So 2.5 years of the YouTube channel.
So a lot of people, and like you were kind of saying in the course at the introduction videos, like you were hopping from diet to diet. You wanted a diet that would work fast. Yeah. So when did you make the shift from being just like in search of a diet to realizing like keto is the one for you? and you're on it long term, like I never think of you as someone who's going to slip up, really, or at least like totally go off the diet for like months and months.
Yeah, I think that's who I was prior to keto. I was the kind of guy who like, let's try this flavor of the week diet and see how it goes for 3 days, and then give up and eat a pizza by myself. But I think early on, I know that a lot of people talk about how wonderful they feel after starting keto. And I think I had a 1-2 punch because I was on statin medications at the time. And so the day that I started keto was also the day that I stopped taking my statins. And I can remember, I think 3 days after starting, waking up and thinking, holy cow, I feel completely different. I'm not groggy. My joints don't hurt. I feel like I have energy. I'm not hungry in the morning, which is a very new sensation. So I knew very early on, like, a few days in, that there was something different about keto. And I stuck with it since then.
Did you stop the medication on your own, or? Okay.
I did some research on it. My doctors, I have chronically high cholesterol, like always in, the 300s. Mm-hmm. And in researching keto, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to eat all this high fat food. I'm bound to have trouble with my cholesterol. And my doctors were very scared that I would do damage to myself or kill myself or whatever. But I did not want to be on them. And I researched both a little bit before keto, but mostly after keto, when my doctors didn't really know how to interpret the results that I'd gotten. Like, this was maybe 6 or 7 months after being on keto. My LDL shot way up, but all my other markers were fantastic. Triglycerides as low as they'd ever been, all the ratios sort of in the right place. But my general practitioner didn't have any idea what to make of it. So he sent me to a cardiologist. They put me through their tests over there, and I got a cardiac calcium scoring test, which was the one I really wanted because, as we've mentioned before, that's sort of the test that measures not only cholesterol, which really isn't a good marker of what's going on in your lipids, but a calcium scoring test will measure actual calcification in your arteries. And my score was super low. It was like a 14. A lot of people who are on keto find that they have super low scores, mostly a lot of 0 scores out there, but the test goes from 0 to about 1,000. But my score was 14. I felt really happy about that, but my doctors still wanted me on statins because that's how they pay for their yachts. But I refused, and I have been kind of statin free since, and I feel great. And I've come to, I'm not a doctor or anything, but it is my understanding or my belief that your body kind of makes what it needs as far as cholesterol goes to get the energy where it needs to go. Everyone's different, of course, but I think your body knows what it's doing, and it gives you the cholesterol that it needs. That's the way I've figured it out anyway.
When did you get the CAC test, the cardiac?
It was about, I think it was maybe 6 or 7 months after starting. It was sometime in the fall of 2017. And
did you have to ask for that, or did they want to give it to you?
I think it was both. I think I remember asking because I had researched when I got my initial numbers back with the standard lipid panel. I was like, okay, next time can we do an NMR test, which is a nuclear magnetic resonance test, which measures kind of the consistency of your LDL particles and whether they're buoyant or they're sticky. And I also wanted a calcium scoring test. So they sent me to the cardiologist for those tests, but those are the ones that I wanted. So it was a little bit of both. And the first one's my insurance covered. But every time I get my blood work done, I ask for an NMR, and it's like $50 out of pocket. But I'm more than happy to pay that because it's kind of like I'm getting the information I want,
Yeah.
So I know we talked to Ivor Cummins about this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm wrong, but didn't he say that you can't reverse like a high score?
Well, he says it's hard to reverse the score, but stopping the growth of your score might be just as good as reversing it. So like if you have a score of 500, really high risk for heart attacks, if you just hold it steady, not a doctor, that might be just as good as reversing it.
Yeah, so that would kind of lead me to believe that you probably just had a low score to begin with, and it doesn't necessarily correlate to keto.
I've had people reach out to me and say, your score was probably up to 14 because of the statin meds you were on for like 5 years. And I don't know what truth there is to that, but I'd like to get another one and see where things are now,
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a podcast with Ivor Cummins. I don't know what number it is, but we talk all about that. That's basically all he talks about is the coronary artery calcification score.
I love
and he's
Cummins.
hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
The fat emperor.
I love watching him and or listening to him and Dave Feldman too. Like they're just, fantastic.
They feed off of each other. They're so good
That's
together.
Right. I
Yeah.
love them.
So how's your diet changed over the years?
Yeah,
the past 3 years or so.
It definitely has, man. When I started, I had a lot of weight to lose. Like I was up near, I'm a tall guy. I'm like 6'3", and I weighed probably around 285 when I started keto. And for the first, 10 or so months, I did like a dirty keto. I ate all the ice creams and I did all the, product reviews and everything. And I was losing weight. And I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. Like I can eat all this stuff. The weight's kind of flying off me. And it worked. I got down to like my target weight, which is around 210, 215, something like that. But then things, you kind of coast, which I did for about a year. And weight sort of crept up a little bit. And I was like, you know what, let me kind of dial things in a little bit. And I started working with our mutual friend, John Shane. And I went into eating more, I started tracking total carbs versus net carbs. And that really sort of dialed things in for me. And I also started a cut with him where I gradually decreased calories over time and manipulated sort of my fat to protein ratio. Saw fantastic results doing that. Really sort of an eye-opening experience going total carbs and doing that initial cut. And now these days I'm sort of mostly carnivore. My diet really consists of like 5 or 6 things. It's like meat, cheese, eggs, yogurt, coffee, Zip Fizz, and like egg roll in a bowl like once a week. So that's kind of it. I've really kind of like dialed things in. And the product reviews, which used to be a huge part of my YouTube channel, are kind of fewer and further between now. I don't do as many of those because not a whole lot of them fit into what I'm doing anymore. Like I'm tracking 15 total carbs a day, and a lot of products have way more than that. So those have kind of taken a backseat as well. But yeah, I've kind of dialed things in. It's mostly a keto carnivore approach for me these days.
So do you feel like, 5 foods, and how old are you?
I am 45 years of age.
Okay, so young, really young. Lots of time to travel, enjoy your life.
Well played.
No,
my friend.
I'm not joking though. So like, you have 5 foods in your diet that you routinely eat. Do you feel like this is just now where you're at in life, and you're gonna eventually come to a point where you're gonna go off of that, or what's the future look like for you?
Yeah,
because that to me doesn't feel so sustainable.
Yeah. Sarah often will say, "How can you just eat these things? It's kind of boring." And I'm sort of past the point of trying to excite myself with food. Like I've gone from, I remember something you said a while back, Matt, and you were like, I think it's when you guys were doing that cut with Robert, like a couple years ago, Keto Savage, and you were like, your mindset has changed from what can I get away with to what foods make me feel good. And I think that's kind of the switch that flipped for me when I started working with John. Is like, yeah, I could eat this stuff and it makes me feel good in the moment. I don't feel good like shortly after I eat these products or whatever. So it's really gone from like, what can I sneak into my diet and like play this game where it's this is 5 net carbs. Sure, it's like 45 total carbs, but there's fiber in it, and I can subtract these sugar alcohols, and it'll get me down to like 5 net carbs.
Yeah.
To like not playing those games anymore, and sort of like just eating the foods that make me feel good. Like I eat boring ass ground beef like at least 3 times a week, and I love it. It just makes me feel good. I'm not too concerned about, I don't know, entertaining myself with food as much these days. That's kind of where I am, and who knows? I don't know. I feel like I could be happy eating this way long term, but I never say never to like integrating some stuff back in. I don't know. I feel like if we go on a big trip or something, or if we have a big event, I'm going to want to like, eat the food that's of the place that we're visiting. So who knows? But this is what makes me happy now. It's what makes me feel good. It's kind of where I am. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So what about cheat days? Do you do those?
Planned deviation is my preferred term. Actually, the boy's birthday, which happened last Saturday, was one such day. I went into the day thinking, okay, I'm going to make these goodies, cookies, because I got this batch of like double chocolate cookies. I'm going to have a few of them, and that's going to be it. And the next day, I'm not going to like overcompensate and try to fast for 72 hours. I'm just going to get right back on sort of the plan I've been on. Cheat days, I feel like, are things that can sneak up on you and are almost like if you plan for them, they're not so much a cheat day. It's like a planned deviation from your normal plan.
Yeah.
And then you're right back on the horse the next day, versus trying to like having this, oops, I really messed up, and trying to overcompensate for things. It can be like, even if you do say, oops, I messed up, how you react to that is kind of more important than the act itself, and just like get back on track. Don't overcompensate. Don't punish yourself and just sort of get back on track with what you have been doing. That's kind of the way I look at cheat days / plan deviations.
Okay, yeah. I'm on board with that. Yeah, I think the worst thing, which is sometimes hard to prevent, is when you just like spontaneously cheat, where you're not really planning on it. Like some days we'll have a planned fancy dinner we'll go to. Tonight we're getting Buffalo Wild Wings, which isn't really a cheat.
Right.
But I'm just going to eat as much wings as I want.
Well, so a lot of people watching are in this predicament right now, right? Everyone's at home, they're on the couch.
Are we sure we can even get Buffalo Wild Wings tonight?
You're really concerned about our dinner right now.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
I'm worried about the people out there
wings.
who are still in their pajamas, right? Maybe like an open bag of pork rinds next to them while they're working. So what are some tips? Or like, you know, I guess you said you tried to do it too, but for many some tips of like staying on track when you're working from home, when you're in a position where maybe you already had a slippery slope this morning. Where are you going from there?
It's tough.
Yeah, you know what I've found works really well if you're tracking food is to track your food the night before. Like if you are at home and you're kind of tracking your macros and you've eaten dinner, start tracking the next day's food. Like while you're watching your TV shows or whatever at night, just kind of punch in the next day's macros, and it can really take the pressure off mentally and get you in a space where, okay, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm not going to, like, I just got to follow this plan that I've made for myself versus standing in front of the fridge wondering, you know, what to eat. Pre-tracking is a really good method that I found works for me anyway.
So have you been tracking the entire time you've been on keto?
For the most part, like the time where my weight started to creep up, it was just sort of like a free-for-all, and I wasn't really tracking. But when I did switch to total carbs, I have tracked every day since. It's been over a year now, just tracking pretty meticulously most days. And I have had days where I won't call them a cheat day, but I will have days where I'll eat more calories than I had planned. But again, it's more of a it's just calories. Like I feel like I will have more of this, you know, ground beef or whatever it is, but it's not, you know, eating a loaf of bread. It's sort of like here's the food I'm having. I'm just gonna have more of it and have a little bit of a calorie surplus. That's kind of as far off track as I've gotten, really. But I'm based mostly because that pre-tracking really does work for me anyway.
And do you get upset at yourself maybe the following morning, or do you have any like mental guilt when it comes to eating in a surplus? Because I know men and women very highly, so I'm interested.
Yeah, not really. I think you know, I kind of another thing I've tried to focus on is just letting yesterday be yesterday, and not letting it sort of infect what I'm doing today, you know, and that overcompensation thing. So if I go off track a little bit, let that be back there and just let's move forward, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So we got a question from a member at jointhecurve.com, and I think this one applies to you because you pretty much reached your goal weight, right?
I did. Yeah, it's in flux, but yeah, I have reached a goal weight. Yeah. So
this person asked, I finally reached my goal weight, and so like, should they start eating more carbs? What exactly should you do when you're at your goal weight? You've got down to that weight using a keto diet. What do you do from there?
That's the big question, right? Like I've hit this goal weight. And it's really a mindset thing. Like I think that's the thing that got me in trouble when I started my initial journey and I was eating all the products and losing all the weight. I got down to that number and I was like, okay, finish line, done. But then I was like, okay, well, what now? So finding a way to maintain what you're doing is huge. And whether that is, you know, tracking your food and finding out where your maintenance calories are. I never really found it advantageous to add more carbs. On the contrary, I'd say the fewer carbs I eat, the better I really feel. So I think it might just be as simple as like maybe messing around with your protein and fat ratios. I know that I feel a little bit better with higher fat ratio to protein, but I know everybody's different. But it's definitely a mindset thing. Like trying to erase that finish line. It's definitely a mind game, you know, because you hit this number, you have this goal, and you hit it, and you're like, yay! And that's when things can really tend to slip. So having a long-term mindset and thinking, okay, well, what can I do that's going to make what I'm doing
sustainable long term, where I don't go crazy out of control, is huge, and it's different for everybody for sure. Whole foods for me did the trick, and kind of trying to eliminate problems.
Well, what the question usually seems to think like it's really easy to just continue losing weight even when you're at your goal weight, to where like you're just going to waste away and weigh nothing at the end of it. So like it's pretty hard once you get to your goal weight, if it is truly like a goal of a healthy weight, your body's pretty good at just like maintaining with a similar diet. And I think you can just get away with more, so you can explore different options. Like you can try doing higher protein. Maybe you could try doing slightly higher carbs, or like carb cycling. Some people like doing that.
Yeah.
I think just more room to experiment would probably be the big thing.
So why do you still track, Aaron?
Why do I still track?
Yeah.
Why do I still track? Well, currently I'm into doing another cut, so I'm keeping track of my calories and all my ratios now. So I've got it kind of am reducing things slowly again, but it just keeps me. I don't know. It's a mental thing where I know I've got a pretty good idea, and I did like an intuitive eating thing with John, where I was like, okay, I'm going to eat what I want to eat what I feel like I should eat. Then at the end of the day, like I took pictures of everything. I'm going to take pictures of every single thing I put in my mouth. And then at the end of the day, see how close I got to where I normally am. I did pretty well with that. It was like a couple of months. It took me to sort of like dial it in. But I got a pretty good, that's the thing I think with reducing carbs and like sort of going to a more whole foods approach, you really kind of get in you get a better feel for what your body needs and what it wants. And I think that doing that intuitive thing was very enlightening, and took me a little while, but toward the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm hitting everything I need to hit, kind of ending up where I was hoping I would end up. So I think you're right. Eventually your body, if you the signaling within, your leptin and what are they? I can't remember the two.
Leptin and ghrelin.
Leptin and ghrelin. You start to feel those things a little bit more, a little better. So
yeah.
It's funny because even when you gave up tracking, you still had this like fallback mechanism of kind of tracking.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I had a very disordered relationship with food for a long, long time. And I think it's really easy to slip back into old behaviors. So I just feel like tracking is a way for me to keep those things sort of at bay,
Do you feel like tracking is a sort of disordered eating in a sense?
I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. But I'd rather have it disordered, leaning toward positive things than the other way, I guess. I don't know. I think it just tends to tamp down those, those binge tendencies. If especially if you pre-track and you have like this sort of, laundry list of things I'm going to eat today, that definitely helps.
Yeah.
That's what I used to always do when I just like graduated college, was done playing basketball. I'm like, I'm gonna get super fat if I don't figure out like,
which happens.
Because I just had a terrible diet. Yeah. I would like drink a half of a 2-liter and a bag of chips, and I'd play online poker. This is what I did every day after practice. Just like thousands of calories. Yeah. And I could get away with it because I had like 3 hours worth of practice every single day.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh. And it's, for some reason, this like whole thing is ingrained in my mind, where I was like looking on Reddit and just looking at different bodybuilding forums and like trying to figure out, and everyone's like, you just track in MyFitnessPal. And it sounds so obvious now because we've been doing it for so long, but at the time it was like amazing when I would put stuff in. And when you first start doing that, when you first start tracking in MyFitnessPal and like figuring out what nutrition and macros are in what foods, you are gravitated towards like rice cakes and like the low fat diet. Yeah. Because you're like, look at all this food I can eat.
Right.
And my calories are still really low.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't think that's a good frame of reference to start with, but it's like really the only thing people know when they first start. Like, just track calories. It's still like the number one piece of advice.
Yeah. Like if it fits your macro style.
Yeah. Because then I started squeezing in like Pop-Tarts, Airheads. Airheads was a big thing. I'd always like squeeze in 2 Airheads at the end of the day.
My dad, every year we go to this amusement park. We meet my dad at this amusement park with my kids, and every year he brings each of the kids like this family pack of Airheads. Yeah. And by the time we're done at the amusement park, like all 3 of those bags are empty. It's just
they're so good.
It's just like pure energy to power you through the amusement park.
Like their tongues are black at the end of the day. Yeah. It's so freaking gross.
Mystery flavor.
Oh my god.
It was always like cherry. It was always delicious. And wait, what amusement park did you go to?
It's a Six Flags up in the Adirondacks. Greatest name of it. But it is man, those things, they sting. Like I just looking at them makes my mouth sting. Like it doesn't seem like there's nothing.
That's funny.
There's nothing good about those, but they love them.
Yeah, a lot of people debating in chat if they should track or not. I think probably also it depends what type of person you are. Like most people, I think, are too loose with themselves. Like they lack a little bit of accountability, so tracking can help.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some people that are like way in the other direction where they're just like obsessive with tracking. Then maybe loosening the reins a little might be good.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, everybody's different. Like this is what works for me, and you guys know what works for you, and maybe tracking doesn't work for another person. But it's all about figuring that stuff out for yourself, you know?
Oh, people want to know what tracker do you use?
MyFitnessPal is what I use.
Yeah, MyFitnessPal is the one I started with. I've been using Chronometer lately.
Yeah, which I like a lot better. It's a lot more accurate.
I have thought about that because MyFitnessPal has that sort of problem where, I mean, it's great because it's very comprehensive, but any schmo can put in any sort of listing that they want there, and you really got to kind of like be careful with it, you know? Schmo.
Yeah, you get
people
those.
People are like, question mark, 10 calories.
Exactly,
check.
you get those people on there.
Which is the best one? Yeah, this one looks good. Yeah, you can really mess around with that, but
Okay, so we're all trapped at home. We need some entertainment.
Ooh.
What are your top 3 guaranteed people will love books, podcasts, or TV shows to binge, watch, read or listen to during this time?
Sadly, I don't have any books on the list, even though I do have a few on request at my local library because the library is like closed for a couple more weeks. But so I got 2 TV shows, and it's a tie. It's this reality show with Will Arnett. It's this Lego Masters show.
We started that.
We watched a few of those.
I freaking love that show. Like,
yeah, it was really good.
It's so entertaining. It's got all the the reality show tropes thrown in, but I love that. It's got this. There's one couple that I really, really despise, but their builds are absolutely incredible. It's like the young married couple.
Did you play with Legos a lot as a child?
What's that?
Did you play with Legos a lot as a child?
I did, and our boys, one of our sons in particular, still loves Legos. He just got the Kylo Ren ship for his birthday, and it only took him like 3 hours to put it together. So Legos are really huge around these parts. So that show is super entertaining. And actually, that kid who got the Kylo Ren thing put together in a couple days, we're like, you should watch this show with us. And he watched the first couple episodes. He's like, this is a stupid reality show. We're like, it's Lego. Don't you love it? But Sarah and I have been watching it pretty religiously. So that's one we've been watching. The thing we watch every night without fail is Jeopardy. And I know I sound like a super fogey, but Jeopardy is super entertaining.
I like Jeopardy.
I love Jeopardy. I feel so terrible for Alex Trebek because they show, like, during the weekdays, you're like, oh, he's actually doing pretty well. You know, he's suffering from pancreatic cancer, I think, or whatever it is. And then on the weekends, they show like older episodes. And so we watched like all the ones through the week, and then on the weekends we see an older one. I was like, oh my God, he looks so much better and so much healthier and so much more vibrant. It's crazy. So that's a little bonus show is Jeopardy. The second show that I will suggest heartily is the most recent season of Better Call Saul. My son and I have been really, really, really enjoying that. The episode that aired last night was absolutely crazy. I think AMC allows them 1 F-bomb per year, and last night was the year they decided to use it. But it's so well written, well done. It's by the creators of Breaking Bad, of course, set in that universe. Absolutely phenomenal television. I can't wait for the next one. That's the second TV show. The podcast that I will suggest is one called Newcomers. It has nothing to do with keto. It's called Newcomers, and it features 2 of my favorite comedians, Lauren Lapkus, who is an improv comic, and what's her name? Nicole Byer from Nailed It. Neither of them had ever seen a Star Wars movie before. So they decided to do this podcast where they'd watch Star Wars movies, discuss them with people that they know who have watched Star Wars several times, and it's absolutely hilarious. They ripped through so far they've done the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and now they're starting on the whatever 7, 8, and 9 are going to be called. But and they watched the Christmas special. Nicole Byers actually when she ranked everything. She was like, Christmas special is #1. I was like, what the hell? What are you even talking about? But
do you have to know Star Wars to enjoy this?
I don't think you do. I think it's very,
because
very.
they don't know it.
Right, they don't know it at all. They made they call Han Solo. Nicole Byer called Han Solo Hans. His name is Hans. So that's super entertaining. It's called The Newcomers, and it's out I think every couple weeks. It's great.
Oh,
Awesome.
Yeah, that one sounds good. Mega love Star Wars. I don't like it.
You're more of a
Lord of
Lord of the Rings type of gentleman.
all day.
Yeah.
A lot of walking around in Lord of the Rings.
That's what they say. Did you ever see, what's that one movie where they make the joke? It's like the first one they're walking,
Right.
Second one more walking. Clerks, right?
Right.
Yeah. Third one, keep walking, throw the ring in.
Yeah. So
What do you got?
Those are the big things I would suggest to people.
Okay.
A lot of people are suggesting Hunters on Amazon.
Yeah, maybe we'll check that out.
Yeah.
So speaking of Lauren Lapkus, you just brought to memory a really good show with that comedian on HBO. What is it called?
I don't know.
The tall, white, fat
What?
The tall white
He's like-
bat.
guy with the... He has his own show too. It's his wife cheats on him.
Oh,
I don't
yes.
know.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Lauren Lapkus is in it.
Crashing.
Crashing.
Yes.
Crashing. Okay,
Crashing.
yeah.
That's a really good show.
Loved
That's
Crashing.
okay. It got canceled, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was so good. And then AP Bio on Hulu. Phenomenal. So that's Dennis Reynolds from
Sunny in Philadelphia.
Sunny in Philadelphia. Those two shows.
Great
and then
character.
a podcast I love, Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard. He's the host.
I know of
Yeah,
that.
I've
I don't think I've ever heard that, but I've heard that it is
Super
really
good.
I listened to a few of them with her. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
For my three, I'm going to say Catcher in the Rye as a book. It's a classic, but it's great.
Boring.
No, see, everyone thinks it's boring, but when you pick it up, the first like 3 pages, you'll be hooked in.
I'm stuck at home. I'm not binging a book.
Well, Broadchurch, a series on Netflix. That's a
okay.
guarantee you'll love.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my all-time favorite single media thing you can consume, Hardcore History, Death Rows of the Republic.
Okay.
It's about the fall of the Roman Empire. It's just so great.
Nice.
All right, back to keto stuff.
Okay.
So you haven't been trying keto snacks as much. I had a lot of snack-centric questions here.
He
can
still
ask
tried
him.
a lot in the lifetime.
Do you have any lately that you've been trying? And then I also wanted to get into a commentary on keto products and snacks in general.
Sure. Not a whole lot of products I've been enjoying. I mean, bars are out for me, usually. You know, if a bar company
Because
said, hey, can we
none of them have less than like 10 net carbs.
Yeah,
Or
they're
10
very-
total carbs, I mean.
there are very few that you can have that fit into what I'm doing. And when I look at like a normal, like tiny little bar that has like 20 total carbs versus like a keto brick, which has, you know, way more, there's really, I mean, that's the choice I usually make. But one thing I have been enjoying the last few days, and I don't know how to pronounce it, nootropics, nootropics creamer in my coffee every morning. That has been nice.
What's the brand?
What's that?
What's the brand?
Keto Brains with a Z.
Keto Brains.
And it could be psychosomatic, but I feel a little zippier and like more alert. Definitely, you know, an hour or two after having some. That's
So it has MCT powder, coconut milk powder, lion's mane, alpha GPC, L-theanine.
Yeah. I
And
think
you're
the
counting
L-theanine-
those 4 carbs?
I do count those 4 carbs.
a
So
lot
I'm
of
drinking
carbs.
I'm drinking 40% of my carbs for the day, but I've been liking it.
Yeah, I like the L-theanine with caffeine.
Oh, that's a lot of L-theanine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good
That's
bit.
probably what's doing it. Like that's what's probably making me twitch right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
I'm trying to think of any others. Haven't been a ton of products. I know that I can't think of any others off the top of my head.
So obviously there's more and more outlandish products coming out. Like I think the
Pop-Tarts.
epitome of that is the Pop-Tarts, which were decent. Not great, but they're pretty good.
I wouldn't get them.
And as this happens, there's also the rising of like more extremes, I would say. It seems like the longer something exists, just the more the deviation is to the extreme. So you have like the hardcore vegans, and we have this rising faction, the hardcore carnivores. And me just being like, you know, right over here, like, yeah, carnivore diet could be good. I like having some non-meats and some non-animal foods in my diet personally. That's like kind of like ridiculed now. And like the fact that I will sometimes eat a packaged bar, it just doesn't fly on the internet anymore. And I don't like it. What are your thoughts on just like that whole thing in general?
I don't like people poo-pooing other people's choices. I mean, what I do should not really matter to what you're doing. That's my thinking anyway. It's a very personal thing. If you find something you like that works for you, great. You know, that doesn't mean that I like it. It doesn't mean that you have to like what I'm doing. I think it's all very personal. Find what you like. If you got something that works for what you're doing, fantastic. Chow down. And that's kind of it for me. It's a personal thing.
Do you have any problem with like the rise of these more outlandish products?
Yeah, I mean the Pop-Tarts were a little troublesome because it's basically here's something that'll probably trigger you. You know, the shape
for sure, yeah,
and appearance of this thing is going to give you crazy memories of your childhood and how great you felt when you were eating these.
I'm all about personal responsibility, though, so I'm not faulting their existence. It's on you as an individual.
Well, yeah. Also assuming general population is triggered, you know, like I
most people are to some extent.
Like, well, define trigger. Like for me, it was like a good memory. Like, oh wow, I remember I used to eat Pop-Tarts. But so is like going to the grocery store every single day. Like I see cereal and stuff, and it's like it's a beautiful memory.
A lot of it is context dependent. Like when we were having it, we're like, hey, we're down here filming a product review video. Let's try the Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
But if you're like home alone, you just got a box of Pop-Tarts shipped to you. You're trying to do your diet. I can't imagine it ends well.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't. That's a really broad generalization.
You think?
You can't imagine it ends well. Like every person you know is just gonna ravage.
Not every person, but I would say it's probably doing more harm than good.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who start keto are starting keto because they've had some sort of weight issue or a problem with self-control or a disordered relationship with food kind of thing. So it can be for those people really problematic to have those things exist. Like I know for myself, it's really hard for me to have jars of nut butter in the house. Like I need them in single serve packets because I'll just hit that thing with a spoon and it'll be gone in 5 minutes. So there's a little bit of that going on too. I think it's really hard because obviously they're going to keep making the things that sell. So it's all down to like you said, personal choice and doing what works for you. But I mean, it's a tough one. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So you've been doing a lot lower carbs. Do you do intermittent fasting or like what do you do? What do you eat in a day, I guess? How many meals?
Not really. I have every morning I have like a 300-400 calorie coffee. My coffee is big. It's got a lot of butter in it. It's got some collagen. It's got these nootropics. And that usually gets me through until dinner. So it is kind of OMAD, but I mean, I'm not fasting. Like that coffee in the morning is huge. So it's mostly just a coffee in the morning and dinner. And maybe like an egg or two during the day if I'm feeling a little peckish, hard-boiled egg. But
so a lot of people will debate over like the idea of having a big high-calorie drink like that in the morning. Is it something you experimented with and you found to be beneficial just as far as like total caloric intake on the day goes? Because a lot of people will be like, that's empty calories, you know?
Maybe. And I think we've talked about this before, but I can't kick coffee. Like that's one thing that I've tried several times to decrease my intake. And like the opposite has happened. Like I feel like, I don't know, every time I try to reduce the amount of caffeine I take in a day, I end up having more. It's just something that is part of my morning. It gives me a lot of happiness and a lot of comfort. And even, I mean, maybe the fact that it's giving me comfort is not a great thing. But I really enjoy my coffee. It kickstarts my day and then I'm good. And it really does help fill in those calories because I don't eat much more during the day. So like I'm around these days, I'm at about 2,450 calories or something like that. And that's tough to get in one meal in the evening. So if I have that big coffee in the morning, that helps me get there.
Yeah, did you, doesn't Dave Feldman talk a little bit about cholesterol and coffee? What's his whole take on that?
Yeah, when I actually did the Feldman protocol, that's one of the first things I did on my YouTube channel, which is basically his theory is that the more fat you eat, the lower your cholesterol is. And so I was like, cool, I'm going to give this a shot. And I ate, a giant platter of, burn ends one morning and just ate all this fat. Didn't see a huge difference in my LDL. and I was on Twitter with him back and forth, and he's like, well, a confounder of the whole thing could be coffee. Do you drink a lot of coffee? And I was like, yes. And I was like, I'll try this again once I kick coffee. And that was honestly 2 years ago, and have not been able to kick it since. So one of these days, I'll do it again, having at least decreased the amount of caffeine I take in. But it definitely is something that I don't know if I need it. It's something I really, really want every morning, though.
Yeah.
And I do indulge a bit.
When's the last time you went a day without coffee?
Oh my God. Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe when we were staying somewhere else, like it's.
Did you get a headache though? Do you feel like down?
If I don't have coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get, if I go a morning without it, I do feel quite foggy. So I know that like that's part of the reason I haven't been able to like taper it down, is because I just feel
it's tough.
It is. And I know you were like, you know what, just start cutting it with decaf and see if that'll do the trick. And I was like, decaf? Why do they even make decaf?
I've actually been doing that again. So I'm back on my mission to give up coffee.
Yeah.
The thing is, okay, so someone has a comment here I agree with strongly. Angie Gracie. I skip coffee some days just to know I can. I hate anything controlling me.
Yeah.
I agree. And I've given up coffee. So like last year when Mega got pregnant, I gave up coffee with her for a while.
Yeah.
3 months, I think.
How long
Maybe
did that last?
3 months. He was
Probably about
sneaking
3 months.
caffeine
Hey.
for a while before I found out.
But the thing is, even when you have given it up and you're totally like clear of the withdrawal symptoms and all that, there's always that like call in the back of your mind where you're like, I could drink a cup of coffee right now and it would be essentially cocaine since I haven't had coffee in 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would just be able to get so much work done.
Bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, it's just like always there, even when you've given it up.
Right.
It is tough. Like, I don't know. I think I'm going to try giving it up one more time. But
Yeah, you
Well,
should. I
something
mean,
that I don't really
Yeah.
care anymore. Like I thought
Yeah.
for a while I'd try to do it again, and I was like, this is not worth the pain I'm going to put myself through. So it's something that I've kind of resigned myself to.
I mean, you eat 5 foods. I think you deserve some caffeine.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you run a lot.
I do run. Yeah. I actually
So-
haven't been running quite as much recently. I've been doing a lot more resistance for the last couple of months here. And I
Nice.
used to try to get to the gym, but I got 3 kids and it's really tough to find time to do that. So I did get some of those Undersun resistance bands, and I kind of get up in the morning. They're super quiet. I get in some good workouts. And I've been doing this program. It's funny because it came with a program. James Grage is the guy behind these bands, and he's got this, it comes with this program you can follow. And I'd get 2 weeks in to the program. I'm like, okay, things are going great. And then there would be a rest day, and then I wouldn't pick up the bands again for another like 3 weeks. And I always fall off after the second week. But as of right now, I'm into the 3rd week. I think being home and on quarantine has really sort of helped there. But on the off days, I have been running. So I went from running every day. Now I run maybe a couple times a week. And I feel great when I do. But I have been enjoying the resistance bands. They're pretty dope.
Are you strictly just recreational, or do you do some races?
I haven't done a race in a couple years. It's all recreational. The last race I did was a marathon, and I did it while I was eating the standard American diet. There have been little things in the back of my head that say, you should try another marathon in a keto state and see how that goes. But it's a lot of training involved. It's a lot. It's a lot to prepare for a marathon. So we'll see. Maybe once the kids are off and in college, I'll give it another go. But I haven't really felt the pull to do any sort of competitive races at all. It's mostly just for my own. I feel great when I run. Sometimes I'll do a longer run on the weekends. Like I did a 9 or 10 miler last weekend, but that's like the longest I've done in quite some time. It's usually just a 5K around the neighborhood.
Yeah. So a lot of people have questions about if you are training for something big like a marathon, maybe you can give some insight into this since at least you've run a marathon.
Sure.
If you're really strict keto, would you experiment with carbs during or prior to the race, or would you just do it just on a normal keto diet, no carbs?
It's very interesting. I had this conversation with someone else, and I experimented with targeted keto for a little while, and I never really found it to be a huge, game changer for me. I didn't really feel any sort of difference. It kind of got in my head, am I doing carbs? How should I bring carbs with me and eat them? And what does it mean? I was much happier just sticking to fats and proteins. as far as training for a marathon, if you get the date and you know that you need to be able to run this amount by this date, you just back time it. And there are programs you can find online that'll give you a ballpark sort of, here's what you should be running this day for like every week leading up to the race. That's kind of what I did. Ironically, the program I followed when I did it before was a Jillian Michaels program, but it got me there, and it was one of the worst experiences in my life, that marathon. It felt, I think I mentioned this before when we talked, it was like every bone in my body felt like it was shattering. It was just not a pleasant thing. So that does make me curious about how I would feel these days doing it now, being off medications, being on keto. It might be something I explore in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, so now you're doing resistance training. When you do the running, what do you do, like mile wise?
It's 3.1 miles whenever I go out, and it's really just an MAF pace, a maffetone zone. It's to get your, I don't want to go too fast. Like, you actually burn more fat if you're going slow. So it's usually not, it's usually like a 9:30 or 10-minute mile. It's very sort of relaxed pace, and it feels great, and it's, out and backs are kind of forbidden now. Like, I've gone out too far and had to like call Sarah and say, can you come get me? I'm done. So if I keep it around the neighborhood, I just have a loop here in the neighborhood that's like a mile long that I can do without getting.
Oh, then I would be tempted to cut it short.
Yeah.
So keto with the family. I know you have your wife on board now, and I see you have like a weekly video series, sometimes with Sarah.
Yes,
Funny.
It used to be Sundays with Sarah. We used to do it every single week, and it got to be a little too much production-wise for me. It sort of became the only thing I did on the weekends was think about putting that show together and editing it and getting it ready. And I had like half a day on Sunday where I could just kind of chill out. So I think we did 73 weeks straight of Sunday with Sarah. And then we called it quits, and we're like, we're going to start calling it Sometimes with Sarah. And so it went from being like every week, not without fail, to now like whenever she feels like it kind of thing. So it's nice to still have her on board. She has she got close to her goal weight. I don't think she actually hit it, but she's been keto for the last couple of years now. She actually started Weight Watchers when I started keto, because I think her mindset was like, hey, you're not going to be the only one losing weight. She was kind of against keto at the beginning, saw my results, and after stalling with Weight Watchers, started asking me questions about keto, and I was like, oh, here we go. So we got her on board, and it's been great. Our kids are a little bit of a different story. Like, I've said this before too, I feel like I kind of doomed my kids to my poor choices early on, because they are really deeply ingrained with them. Like, they will not try whole milk. They will not try other things. Like, I have some crossover hits that work for them, including the red pepper chicken thighs, which is a huge hit every time.
Oh, thank you.
But, for the most part, they're carb hounds, and it's okay. We feel like they're young. If they have issues at some point, they at least know that there are different ways to do things. So we'll see how that all plays out. But Sarah and I both feel really good doing keto. She's more into a low carb sort of approach now. She also likes more vegetables in her diet, so she's been experimenting with that. And she does enjoy some of the products that get sent our way. I'm not gonna lie. She's like, even though I don't have them, she's got like a stash downstairs. Like, there's a box full of bars that she will hit every now and then.
Awesome. So it's funny you bring up that when you started doing keto, she wanted to do Weight Watchers. Because I know, doesn't it seem like a lot of times there's like one person in the relationship that wants to like improve and lose weight, and then like resentment builds?
It's really hard, yeah.
How do you avoid that?
Yeah, it's tough. It's something we definitely struggled with early on when I started. It was sort of like, I think she was thinking, well, we're on different teams now. Great. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it really kind of was a tough spell there. But I think it's really hard, because what I have discovered is you can't force anyone to eat anything they don't want to eat. You can't force anything to do anything they don't want to do. It's got to come from them. And so I just try to keep my head down, do my thing, while also, making sure everyone else was, eating well, or as well as they could. And it was tough on me. When she started keto, I was like, I will make every single piece of food that goes into your mouth. Like, that was the deal. Like, when she came to me and started asking me about keto, I was like, yes, I will happily make everything. If you do keto, I will make every meal from here on out. And even though she's not technically doing keto anymore, that's still what we're doing. But yeah, the early going was tough because I was making 2 meals every night, one for me, one for everybody else. And sometimes it's okay to do, like, you make a protein and then you're just adding whatever for everybody else. But it was tough. There's no two ways about it. It was a tough go in the early going, but things have definitely improved since then, for sure.
Yeah. Seems like it'd be tough. What would you do if I was just like lifting and like trying to get jacked?
I mean, we were doing very different things when I was pregnant, and I was totally fine with it.
It was kind of tough, right?
For me?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you would like say stuff to me, like you're getting jacked, and then look at me.
I've never said that.
I think you
maybe
said
in your
something
head
like
you
that.
were hoping I would say that.
I think you said that, something like that.
No, that's when I like finally realized like we're just very much individuals, and I'm not gonna fast, and I'm not gonna, like, you did a long fast when I was pregnant. You did like a 3-day fast.
At first, you were trying to do everything I did.
Yeah, at first I was, because I also like thought like I needed to keep pace to stay healthy for my pregnancy. I thought it was like good for me to be pushing
Just
myself.
in general, I mean more at the start of our relationship.
Oh, yeah, well, I was also like wanted you to love me more, and so I thought it'd be like, good for me to be on board with everything you did.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely brought keto into the... Do you want me to like give you all credit? Because
No.
you're getting it. No, yeah, I think it's hard until you've come to a point where you realize like you're just individuals. Like, I can't compare myself to a 6'4", 180-pound man. That just doesn't make sense for my body and for my macros and for what I want out of life.
It's really tough. I mean, having this, kind of low-fat dogma that you followed for your entire life and thinking that you're doing the right thing, eating whole grains and all that kind of stuff. It's a really tough hurdle to get over when that is suddenly questioned, and there's sort of the opposite. It seems to be the way to go. So there's, it's a tough thing to fight through.
Yeah.
So some people ask us this sometimes. I don't know if you heard, but there's they polled, like, I don't know if it was elementary schoolers or middle schoolers, the number one career. Mm-hmm. Do you know what they want to be when they grow up?
No.
YouTubers.
Oh my
number
God.
one career. So what's your advice?
Get ready
to
for the
someone,
grind, kids.
I know. What's your advice for someone who wants to start a YouTube channel? Start
is my top piece of advice. A lot of people message me and they say, how do I start a YouTube channel? And I didn't know, like, I've been an editor for the last 25 years. YouTube came around maybe 9-10 years into my career, and I was like, oh, that's something I could probably be good at. I didn't really have any idea what I would make a channel about. But then when keto came along, I was like, okay, here's something I could kind of work with. But the number one thing is just to start. Like, and don't worry about equipment. If you have a phone, use your phone to make videos. Practice, get better, and it becomes easier the more you do it, like with anything. But as far as equipment goes, if you got a phone, do that. The first piece of equipment to invest in is a microphone, because I've said this several times. If you have the best looking video in the world with garbage audio, people will not watch. The opposite, if you have terrible video but great audio, people will forgive it. So invest in a microphone first. That is piece of advice number 2, probably. Those are the big 2. Just start, and if and when you can, get yourself a good microphone.
I like
and then
that.
be consistent with it. Like, find a schedule that works for you, because you can't just upload a YouTube video and then wait for people to watch it. You kind of got to get yourself into a schedule and be consistent with it. Again, like anything, find a schedule, be consistent with it, and continue to do it, and you'll get better.
Yeah, how many videos do you make per week?
I am down to 2. I used to do 3 or 4, and it was getting to be quite overwhelming. So I've taken it down to 2, and then sometimes we do lives. And the lives are really nice because it's sort of like, if this new OBS way of doing things, if I can do a little bit of pre-production and then do the live, then it's over. Like, versus coming home on Friday night, cramming in a recording Friday night, editing into the wee hours of Saturday morning, finishing the video on Saturday, uploading it to be ready on Sunday. if we can just like go live Sunday morning and then be done, that's kind of, it's way better and way more sustainable, you know?
So, what are these like movie things you do? I haven't watched the videos, but it's like an hour long, like Fat and Flicks.
Oh yeah, Fat and Flicks. It's sort of like I have a list of shame movies that I think a lot of people have seen that I have never seen, and it's just a way to kind of work through my list of shame, where we will watch a movie early in the week and say, okay, we're going to go live and talk about this movie that we'll all watch. Everybody watch this movie. Then when we do the live over the weekend, we'll talk about it. We'll have some sort of fatty meal as well.
So is it like bad movies?
It's not bad movies. It's not
Do you like
necessarily bad
movies?
movies. They have kind of all been bad so far. Well, no, there's been some good ones. But we did, the first one I think was Top Gun. Like I'd never seen Top Gun in my life.
Oh, me
I've seen
neither.
parts of it, but never like all the way through. So Top Gun.
I think
was
it's
one.
really bad if you watch it these days,
It's
right?
really terrible. Like I got to tell you, not many movies from the 80s stand up. They're all super cringy, like really bad. But
Oh, Witness.
Witness
I've
was
never
amazing.
seen that.
Witness
What?
was so good.
I forgot I just saw that until now. My dad forced me and my brother to watch it, and we were like, "What is this nonsense?" It was like good, but like poor, like really bad at the same time. But like
It
definitely
was so
good.
great. I loved Witness. That's like probably the best. I mean, as far as reputation goes, and as far as like, movies that are well regarded, that's probably the only one we've done that's been like really well regarded.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it's fun to do. You know,
Didn't we watch an old movie recent? Oh, we watched Patriot.
Patriot.
That with Mel Gibson. Yeah, that one holds up because I just read like a bunch of books on the American Revolution, so I was like, let's watch this movie again.
Yeah.
It was good. It holds up pretty well. The one that
Witness is like old.
Well, it's a little older, yeah. The one that held up the worst for me was very disappointing because I remember loving it as a child. Is The Italian Job, Mark Wahlberg version.
Oh, I like that.
When you were a child. My God.
Yeah. I mean, when I was like 12 or 15 or something.
You know what movie we watched? We really pumped it up to the kids, saying, "Oh, you guys are gonna love this movie. You're old enough
Matt
to watch
does
it."
that. Yeah.
It was The Goonies.
I never watched that.
I have such fond memories of The Goonies, or had really fond memories of The Goonies. And then we watched The Goonies with the kids, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I could not believe that it was a movie. Like, it made no sense. It was terrible. I could not stand it. And I was like, I'm sorry, kids. I'm sorry that we put you through this. It's so bad. Another one, Space Jam, does not hold up. Like,
I just threw that one on because it came back to Netflix.
Oh, so bad. So bad.
Yeah. I didn't rewatch it, but I'll probably play that one for Theo when he's older, and he'll probably hate it.
Yeah, we'll play a lot of movies.
Man.
So what else are you working on? What do you got going these days?
What do I have
people
going
should know
these
about?
days? Oh,
Yeah.
I am on the cusp, and I don't know how. It's a long cusp, but I've been doing this series on my YouTube channel. You guys appeared on it. It's a segment I call Convos, where I have just I sit down and talk with people. We do a double record situation because I wanted to do an interview series where I wasn't dependent on internet speeds because I see a lot of people do like stuff over the internet. One side chokes, internet's really bad. There's lag. There's this awkward stuff. So it's kind of like each side records their side of things. We talk over Skype, and then they send me their files. I edit them together, and it's a YouTube series. I've done 9 of them so far. The 10th one comes out next weekend, and I'm going to turn that into an audio podcast as well. And that's the big thing these days. It takes a couple weeks for me to put them together. They're super fun, and I've discovered that I really am all about sort of community stuff. Like I'm not a big recipe guy. I'm not a big workout guy. I kind of like just the connections I've made through Instagram and YouTube, and I want to just highlight people's stories as best I can and kind of honor them. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on recently.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be cool to do some sort of like stories from the community. I can't really think of how to do that though. Like I think Dr. Berg maybe does maybe people do it, but you share people's stories so that other people can see it on your YouTube channel, and then that motivates others to join along.
I really think that if people see someone who seems to be in a similar situation to them, and that person has had some modicum of success, it can be really motivating. So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Yeah. That would be cool. Yeah, so the thing is called Convos. We were episode 3.
Oh, with a K, I like that.
And I was looking at it, and Theo
so tiny.
is so tiny.
I
2
can't
months
believe
ago.
it. And it's going to be weird because when I drop them as
Oh,
audio podcasts,
sorry.
that'll be like,
That's very
6 months
cool.
old or whatever. Like we recorded that, I think, just a couple days before Thanksgiving. But it's super fun. I have you guys on. I had Sahil on, had Aaron Day, some familiar faces.
It's cool to have YouTube because we almost, I guess now I'll look back at it and I'll use it like people would use like home videos, you
Right.
know, like
It is our
of their
home
kids.
videos.
Like I go back and look at Julius when he was a little puppy. We
Yeah.
got him.
Oh, you know what I did last weekend? I spent a couple nights in a row putting together, like, because I'm an editor, I had videos of each of the boys' birthday parties for the last 17 years. And I went back and I made like a compilation that we could all watch on Saturday because we can't do anything else because we're on lockdown.
Oh.
But they like that.
Really, really freaking broke my heart. I was had a big problem putting it together. Age 5, man, I was like, how are they so adorable? How was this what they were like 13 years ago? 5 was great. 12 was great. Man, it's crazy. So it's a rocket ship. It goes so fast. Like everyone always says it goes fast. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's, man, looking back at like 17 years worth of like birthday videos, it's not something I recommend to anyone. It really is heartbreaking.
I'm finally starting to realize the things that everyone says are actually very true.
Yeah.
There's a reason everyone says them.
Yeah.
Cliches are cliches for the most part because they're true, you know?
Yeah.
Someone's asking, do you do any biohacks, sauna, blue light blocking, meditation?
I have looked into the one biohack I have done before. We talked about it, I think, last time, is mouth taping, which seemed like a crazy thing when you guys talked about it at first. I haven't done it in a little while because I often lose the piece of tape, but it's basically just putting a piece of tape over your mouth at night and sleeping and breathing through your nose, and it really can help you with sleep. That's a good one that I've done. I have seen a lot of people with these red light therapy things, which has got me kind of curious. I don't know how big those things are or what's involved, but that's something I think could give some benefits. It seems like it anyway.
I'm on the fence about how effective they really are. We talked to Dr. Stephen Hussey, our podcast this week. He's pretty big on them. I know Tristan Primal Edge Health is big into them.
What is this supposed to do? Is it just supposed to like help you with
I don't so what Dr. Stephen Huss, I think it could help you with sleep. It could kind of simulate like if you don't get out in the sun a lot.
Right.
But he was saying he kept saying this, which I've never heard it before, and I haven't looked into it since. 4th phase water.
Wasn't that the sauna though?
No, he was saying sauna with particularly the full spectrum.
Was the 4th phase water? Yeah.
Yeah.
4th
which
phase
is
water.
Yeah, I have to look into it more, but basically, I don't even exactly
He was talking
know.
about like hydrophilic, hydrophobic, like certain like things in your body are attracted to water. I don't know. Yeah,
it's hard to explain. I don't fully know.
He went into the science of it.
Wow.
Yeah, 4th phase water.
That's the big one that's got me curious, is the red light. But not a whole lot of other biohacks that I really do these days.
All right. I guess we usually go for an hour. It's been a little over an hour. Any parting shots?
Any parting shots? I'm a little bummed about sports being gone, but
the Olympics.
It's crazy that everything's pushed back until fall at least, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So were you planning on going to KetoCon? Because that's probably, I mean, they haven't announced it, but I'm assuming that's also going to be canceled.
I was honestly, before this, last week, I was like, oh, I'm going to buy tickets. Tickets are probably airfare. I mean, airfare and hotel are probably super cheap now. And Sarah's like, what are you doing? You be a good citizen. Don't do that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, a week later, it's like, okay, I'm glad I didn't really book anything because it looks like things are not going to happen. If they're saying the earliest things, I mean, the NBA season said maybe June they'd start playing games again. That doesn't seem very good as far as KetoCon would be a stretch for it starting in
June.
They're still selling tickets on the site. Seems kind of hopeful.
Yeah.
And
official word is that it's still happening. There's a good chance it'll push to September, or just go until next year. Just go away until next year, and tickets will still be good, no matter what happens.
Oh, that's smart. That would make sense.
It's really tough because I know this has to be a huge part of the people that run this, their income for the year, probably 90% plus. They rely on this.
Huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of conferences and a lot of businesses, a lot of people relying. Yeah,
it's wild. And it's weird because you think, oh, that's got to be a pretty big hardship for them, but then everyone involved with it is sort of pushing out their lives, through months. It's wild. it's wild. I feel really lucky to still be, I still have a job. A lot of people I know are like laid off or like have very reduced roles at the companies they work with.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, ours is like totally unchanged, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you said there was like people aren't obviously
Just less people visiting the site, less
Which
views, less
affects us.
everything. But
Yeah.
And like YouTube is being run completely by robots. I know that a lot of the algorithm or whatever, there's some human
demonetized.
involvement there, but it's very, very minimal now. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely seen sort of a dip in things in that department.
they seem to be changing the algorithm a lot because so views on recently upvoted videos seem to be lower. And I don't know, do you watch YouTube a lot?
That's the thing. I was talking with Autumn, that like when you make a lot of videos, like there's not a whole lot of time to watch a lot of videos. So I watch some, but I don't watch nearly as many as I used to.
Yeah, so I watch some, and I obviously like have my channels I go to all the time, and there's like just a lot of more weird recommended videos now. So like I remember the first time I noticed this, it was probably 6 months ago. World Chase Tag Championship was like #1 recommended. It wasn't trending or anything. It just kept getting recommended to me.
Weird.
And there's like the Pat McAfee show or whatever. His it's just some weird recommendations to me that I don't ever watch, and I never click on them either. And they're still constantly recommended to me. So I'm wondering what's going on.
It's so weird. It's bizarre. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's as far as other parting shots. I would just say I'm A.D.Keto on Instagram. High Fat High Fun is a YouTube channel. Convos will be coming out soon in podcast form. That's pretty much my spiel.
Awesome.
Yay! Everyone check them out for sure. And thank you for joining us, Aaron.
Nice.
Taking time out of your day.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I guess that's going to do it.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so
Yay.
that was the first... Oh, Aaron's still on here. We're going to do a sign-off, Aaron.
I will shut up.
Okay, see ya. No, but we're going to be doing more of these tomorrow. We have an interview with Dr. Ken Berry.
At 2 p.m.
And if you guys want to DM us on Instagram or even comment below this video with any questions for that one.
Yeah.
Or just, questions in general. If you're on the Curve, jointhecurve.com. If you have questions in the forums there, we can answer some of those on the live streams.
And potentially another cook-along this week if we don't get another interview.
Yeah, and just more people you want to be interviewed on here too. Let us know.
The next couple of weeks.
Alrighty.
Bye, guys. Thanks for
See
watching.
you guys.